Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker here on a fantastic, fantabulous Friday. And we're going to have a look at a great little knife here that I just recently purchased here not too long ago. It is the Spyderco Techno 2, designed by Polish knife designer Marcin Slisz. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I mean, I've been around this knife world for a long time, and there are Martin Slush and Marcin Slisz. You know what? I've always just called him Marcin. I always, it's spelled Marcin, but I've always said it as Martin. But we will try it as Marcin Slisz. And of the Slisz Bowie fame, one of the most coveted Spydercos that is out there, and the one that I seem to be missing out of my little collection here. So what we have here is the Spyderco Techno in CTX XHP with, as far as I'm concerned, I think the best blade finish that is out there. And it may be not the best for, like, sometimes you got a high carbon steel, but if you've got a stainless steel and you don't want to put a covering on it, I love this kind of mirrored stonewash finish. It just, I think it looks fantastic. Not only does it look fantastic, when Mr. Shabazz reviews one of these, he puts his Batman helmet on it, and I just gotta say, he's a little bit more of an edgy guy when he's got that Batman mask on. I don't know why, but he just turns into a bad guy, and I gotta wonder if Mrs. Shabazz likes him to have the Batman mask on as well. All right, so here we go. Let's do some technical specs, and then we will compare it against the other ones that we have here. Overall length is 5.9 inches long. Close length is 3.46, which is not a hefty knife by any stretch of the imagination, but she's got a really, really stout 3.5 millimeter CTS XHP blade. Now, it is tip up only. You can do left or right, and it is everybody's favorite wire clip. I gotta say, this wire clip has been a little bit of a pain in the butt to get in and out of my jeans. I mean, I like the wire clip. It's almost like a deep carry, but for some reason, this hasn't been a very fun one to go in and out of my pocket. Now, the blade length is 2.52 inches long with an edge length of 2.44 inches. And of course, it has the Reeves integral lock, or the frame lock, that a lot of people really, really love. And it's got two big giant slabs of titanium here, as well as some very controversial green standoffs too. Now, of course, this is the second iteration of this knife. There is a Techno 1 out there, and it's designed, it's very, very similar, but it's not the same. The Techno 1 has got a little bit thicker blade. The grind is different, as well as the profile of the knife. And as well as the Techno 1 has a backspacer rather than the standoffs, and it's a blue backspacer, kind of a muted blue. I would think I would eventually like to get a Techno 1 and I definitely want to get a Spyderco Slisz Bowie just to have the entire collection. I think Marcin Slisz is a great knife designer, and not only that, I just love the way the action on every one of his knives that I have felt so far, the action on it has been beautiful. That's the only way you can say it. It's not the smoothest that I've seen. It's not the easiest that I've seen. It's just beautiful. Like, it's very, very hard to explain it unless you're actually, opening one up yourself. To me, the way he designs his knives, whether it's by purpose or by accident, it's just wonderful to open his knives. Now, a lot of people seem to complain about that design here. He's got that kind of that spider hole is a pocket, and then you leave the backside, not as much room because you've got the residual lock in there every time, so you can't do the spider flick, but you kind of can if you get the pad of your finger in there. But thumb flipping it is oh so beautiful. I do wish that there was a little bit of a difference in the back, being able to have just a little more access to Spidey flick it a little easier. With this one here, it's not too bad. Now, when I first ordered this knife, of course I didn't feel it. I ended up buying this pre-owned from a fella here. Oh my goodness, I gotta look his name up because I promised him I would give him a shout out. I do believe his last name is Nazareth, which is a fantastic name. Here, I'm gonna quickly give him a quick shout out here. All right. He's on my phone because he is a fantastic guy and a great knife guy in his own right. Where do I have it? Where do I have it? Oh my goodness! Hopefully I didn't lose it. Under Marketplace. Huh. Oh darn it! Well, I just didn't want to get his name wrong, and that was my fault that I didn't have it right here with me. But I think his last name was. We'll just call him Mr. Nazareth because I really dig his last name. Oh, Carl! Hello, looking at the wrong spot. Carl, Mr. Carl, thank you so much for sending me. It's exactly what you said it was. It's a virtually brand new Techno 2. I bought this pre-owned, and he really looked after it. It came not as sharp as I'd like to do it, so I ended up putting not quite a mirror edge on there, but I ended up just touching up the edge ever so slightly, and that's another thing that I really love about CTS HHP. It is one of my favorite steels to take an edge. And once you have this steel sticky sharp. Now there are other steels that I get sharp, and sometimes when you strop a steel, it stays sharp, gets a little star sharper, but it doesn't get that sticky sharp. Where this one feels like it can bite you at any time. And CTS XHP is one of those steels that with a little bit of stropping on a 1 micron diamond strop, it's right back to being sticky sharp. If I put this knife away as sticky sharp, 6 months later, if I open it up and put my fingers on it, it is sticky sharp out of the box. Where some seem to almost like they micro anodize, or not anodize, but they get dull in the box. I mean, it can still definitely cut into a cardboard box, and maybe with a little bit of strop, it'll be there. Right back to sticky sharp, but sometimes that sticky sharpness goes away sitting in the box, where this one does not. It stays like that all the way. Now, this one here is the Spidey Chef, which a lot of people love. It is the only one that I have that doesn't have the CTS XHP. It's got the LC200 steel, which is great. In itself, completely stainless, rust resistant, and of course here we've got the sway back, and that'll just give you an idea of the size. A lot of people were really surprised, including myself, at how big this sway back was when we first got it. And it does have the CTS HHP steel too as well, and Mr. Sleece doesn't seem to really like the traditional pointed kind of Spyderco leaf-shaped blade. And why should he? I mean, he's an excellent designer. As you can see here, my Spidey Chef, I didn't like the snail trails that I was getting on it, so I sanded it smooth with the intention of anodizing it. Eventually I will do that, and I got a couple of really wicked scratches in it just from owning it, so I've tried to kind of get rid of them too as well. So that's why she's not, perfect blade out of the box. But this one here is. So let's go here. We'll finish this off real quick. Now, the weight of this is 3.4 ounces. The clip position is ambidextrous, as I said, and the grind is kind of a high saber hollow ground. But, it seems like it's a tiny bit thick behind the edge. Although it seems to cut cardboard really well. That's my main cutting medium that I cut a lot of is a cardboard. And this is way more EDC ready than you would give a 2.5 inch blade for. It seems like it's really comfortable. Yes, and so that's where I was going with that before. When I first looked at this knife a little bit closer, you could see that they've got these bevels. Sometimes, oh my goodness, somebody's texting me here. All right, so that was my campground texting me, by the way. So anyway, so we have got this edge here. I thought it was going to be really kind of pokey. There are some edges that you get that the lines are almost too crisp, and when you put it in your hand, it seems to find the creases of your hands and gives you a little bit of a poke. It is not very comfortable. Where this one, surprisingly, was not like that whatsoever. The ergonomics on this knife don't look like they would fit your hand extremely well, but they do. I mean, it's really kind of a strange little quirk. Or I guess, if you're designing a knife, you're going to put that knife in your hand before you put it out. And Mr. Sleece did that, and it seems like it's an extremely comfortable knife for being a little bit, kind of blocky. Now, the other thing here that is more of a concern than anything is I kind of wish, now this doesn't need the steel insert because it just has been zero lock stick on this whatsoever, but I've noticed that this Reeves integral lock is about 50% or so, and it probably will stay there. I mean, this gentleman's designs, I'm not worried about it traveling in, but I'm worried about somebody else maybe opening this knife, and the lock here is really not as stiff as a lot of the other Reeves locks. Now I know that some of it is size, and this one here does have the stop. This one here too. It's just, to me, it's just like this is a little too, if you didn't know what you were doing, or if you're having a bad day, or you just, something was up, I could see that you could perhaps over travel this outwards and perhaps put a little bit of a bend to it. I wish that they had put just some sort of over travel stop in there to stop that lock bar from going too much, because it just seems like it's a little bit too, not as strong. Now it is really drop shutty though, and that's the other thing you got to be careful with as sharp as this is. Yes, you can drop shut it, and I do, and it lands on the back of my nail, which has put little tiny cuts into it. If you land wrong on this, or something's going on, or it could hit into the flesh of your thumb. Just be careful when you close it, because this one here is drop shutty, and there is zero blade play, no up and down. Just fantastically well built by the Taichung plant out in Taiwan. The jimping on here, like I said, I love this, the way they stonewash this blade, because it just rounds everything off. I know that there's some Taichung Spydercos come with this spider hole here that is sharp enough to cut paper, or this one, when you've got this type of blade, that goes away. It is so comfortable, and this jimping is wonderful too as well. I'm so impressed with this little knife. Now it is big enough to carry as an everyday carry, but it's also small enough that it will tuck into some jeans' fifth pocket. And I'm actually thinking this would be either a great little knife to take with you out on the Saturday night, that's going to be in a set of slacks. It's not too heavy. It's big enough that if you had an easy task, you could do some work with it if you had to in your slacks, but it's also small and unusual enough that if you pulled it out in a restaurant to cut a little piece of thread or something, you're not going to have, the carrot across the aisle and the other table scream that you're a murderer pulling the knife out. So, and believe me, it's not happened to me, but I know friends who it's happened to. Karens. Oh well. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I appreciate you guys stopping by and having a look at my great little Spyderco Marcin Sleece Techno 2 in my little collection here. And please stay safe out there. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.